Welcome back, Truth Seeker. March 3rd, 2019. 72 years ago today, our Congress introduced the National Security Act. It was March 3rd, 1947. And the National Security Act brought into effect the Central Intelligence Agency, the NSA, all the things that essentially spy on us. So that was 72 years ago today, in the time of the 33rd president, this big move on March 3rd. And oddly enough, this morning I got a great piece of information. I did a video this week on enemy of the state, and somebody who saw that video said, "Hey, Zach, did you know that Gene Hackman in the film The Conversation played the exact same character that he played in Enemy of the State, a government employee who was aware of the surveillance state, who lived in a warehouse in a mesh wire box?" So I had to look this up, and I said, wow, this is actually 100% true. I'm going to have to check out this movie, The Conversation. I haven't watched it yet, but even without watching it, I want to show you what's so interesting about these two films, The Conversation and Enemy of the State, in light of the nation we live in, the giant prison police surveillance state, the military-industrial complex nation, and also what these films had to do with September 11th, 2001. Again, after September 11th, 2001 came the Patriot Act, and after the Patriot Act, it became public knowledge that the massive telecommunications companies were collecting all of our data and information, phone calls, text messages, emails, internet, website usage, and it was all being stored away. And then we had our government shortly after that vote for immunity for these companies to violate our constitutional rights. Now, what's interesting is in Enemy of the State, Gene Hackman's character, again, the man who plays this same character in two different movies that are about the same subject, he mentions in Enemy of the State that since the National Security Act went into effect in 1947, that they've been collecting all of our data and information. And I have no doubt that that's true. It was revealed around the same time that our government was voting on immunity for these telecommunications companies that AT&T and others had been keeping all of our information since 1984, and probably even before that. So let's look at this, and let's again understand how this secret knowledge of numbers and dates in the calendar is used ritualistically, and it's used to build this prison, police, military surveillance state that we all live in. Also, I just want to say that Mark Passio, I was looking forward to his broadcast. He's doing a broadcast on Sundays called What in the World is Happening. He's sick today, so he's not doing his broadcast. And that is why I titled this What in the World is Happening. Not to copy Mark Passio, but just because I appreciate his work. I don't agree with him on everything, but him and I, we see eye to eye when it comes to the government. The government is here to control us. It is not a good thing. It is here to simply control us, enslave us, exploit us. And so many people in this world don't understand that. And they really need to, you know. Again, last weekend I said, let's start a campaign to get the word out. Let's call it federal abstinence. Don't get fucked. And what is federal abstinence? It'll mean not participating in anything federal, not voting in these predetermined rigged elections, which we can prove with this knowledge. And if enough of us can sign on to this campaign, we can also not pay our federal taxes. There's safety in numbers. A lot of people, when I said that last week, they responded, they said, Zach, if I don't pay my taxes, I'm going to end up with all sorts of fines and in a prison cell. Yeah, that's true if you do it independently. But if you do it, you know, with millions of people who are working in unison, protesting together, there's not enough prison cells, there's not enough IRS agents, government officials for them to do anything about it. And that's what needs to happen. This federal government needs to be abolished. It is only here to exploit us. It does nothing positive for us. Don't be fooled by the public relations of the government, trying to make it seem like they're here to keep you safe. They have your safety at interest. They have your safety at heart. That's not what it is. That's their marketing to, get across their agenda, which is about spying on you and keeping tabs on you and making sure you stay on the treadmill they want you on, getting indoctrinated, paying taxes, your wealth being used to support other people so they don't have to work, so they can live off your labor. That's what it's all about. So anyway, let's look at this now. This is just, I can't believe this. I'm so glad that somebody tipped me off about this film, The Conversation. Just watch. So The Conversation released on April 7th, 4/7. Of course, I have the campaign, what is 47? Because this is a very important number to a certain group of people who we'll get to. It's a very important number to government and government operations. And again, it's not an accident that the National Security Act was created in 47 in the time of the 33rd president. Okay, we'll put all this together. But this film, The Conversation, which is about this subject, released on April 7th in the year 74. A little bit later, we're going to talk about how 911 was made the national emergency dialing code on the 47th day of the year, in the year 68. For those of you who are new here, you probably don't recognize 113 minutes. That's a very important number to the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, which has its headquarters in Washington, D.C. Of course, George Washington was a Scottish Rite Freemason. So just recognize the film's 113 minutes, released on April 7th, 4/7 and 7/4. Very important numbers to Masonry, as we'll get to. But the little IMDb blurb for this film is, a paranoid, secretive surveillance expert has a crisis of conscience when he suspects that a couple on whom he is spying will be murdered. So Gene Hackman stars in this film. Here's the little Wikipedia plot. Harry Call, which is Gene Hackman's character, is a surveillance expert who runs his own company in San Francisco. Call is obsessed with his own privacy. His apartment is almost bare behind its triple locked door and burglar alarm. He uses payphones to make calls, claims to have no home telephone, and his office is enclosed in wire mesh in a corner of a much larger warehouse. This is exactly like Gene Hackman's character in Enemy of the State. The exact same thing. He has no friends. His girlfriend Amy knows nothing about him, and his one hobby is playing along to jazz records on a tenor saxophone in the privacy of his apartment. So, the surname of his character, Call, it has this gematria of 71. The film name, The Conversation, equals 71. Enemy of the State equals 71. And national security equals 71. Again, he explains, his character in Enemy of the State, that ever since the National Security Act 47, they've been collecting all of our information using the telephone technology. So I want to thank Joe Crippen. Joe Crippen's who tipped me off to this, so I had to look into it. Thank you, Joe. Great tip. This is a little blurb from IMDb about Enemy of the State, about how, if you haven't seen Enemy of the State, what happens is in the beginning of the film, a congressman is being pressured to vote for this legislation that will make it easier for the NSA to spy on Americans. And consider this film came out in 1998, not long before September 11th. And the person who's putting on the pressure saying, look, this is in the name of national security. We got people out here. We got terrorists who want to attack us. We need this legislation to keep our people safe. And the politician says, no way, I'm not going to do it. So what happens to him? A guy who's a law enforcement, who works for the local police, who's the henchman for this guy who works for the NSA, he comes up behind the politician, injects him in the neck, and he dies right there. This is exactly what we see going on in this world. And then they report in the news, it looks like he overdosed on some medication and didn't have his parking brake off, and or have his parking brake on, and his car rolled into the lake and he died. That's how it's reported on the news. And then around that same time, they're showing you the news broadcast, and you get some other dialogue from the news about how when buildings start to come down, that's when people's beliefs about national security start to change. Just amazing how they just put this stuff in the films. When buildings start to come down, that's when people's beliefs start to change about government rights and national security. Sound familiar? Like what happened after 9/11? So, and think about the other big movies at that time, Fight Club, which, had similar ideas. That movie ends with buildings in free fall. You had The Matrix come out around that time. Movies hinting at similar subject matter. But anyhow, this is how Enemy of the State begins. A politician being murdered because he's not going to vote for this legislation. And this murder gets captured on some surveillance equipment that's set up by somebody doing an environmental study. And of course, the NSA being able to track everything down, they find out who did this, who has this video surveillance. They hear him talking to somebody on the phone about how he captured this and how the information needs to get out there. So the NSA goes after these people right away. Next thing you know, they're dead. But anyhow, let's look at the actual National Security Act of 1947. And again, the film The Conversation came out April 7th, 74. Film that's about the same content as Enemy of the State, where, again, Gene Hackman stars as the same type of person in both films. And we'll get to why Gene Hackman, too. We'll get to why they chose Gene Hackman. But the National Security Act of 1947, it was introduced in the Senate March 3rd, 3-3. And this made me grin when I saw this today. I said, of course it was. Of course, 3-3. 33rd president, of course. And it's just funny today that I got this tip about this film. It's strange how the synchronicity in this world, when we're trying to uncover the truth, I just see all these amazing synchronicities all the time. It's been going on ever since I started this research. But anyway, here we are, March 3rd, 72 years later. So this was introduced 3/3/47. It was signed into law July 26th, the date that should look very familiar to you. It's a date that has a lot to do with New York's history. The first governor of New York born on that day. New York's birthday is July 26th. We've talked about July 26th a good deal. We'll get to what's special about that date. And then it took effect September 18th, 47. That's when the CIA and everything came into being. So, and don't forget Truman, after the assassination of JFK, came out and said that the National Security Act was a mistake and the CIA should be gutted to nothing but an intelligence gathering service with no other powers. Of course, JFK was killed on 11/22. It's 11 plus 22, 33. He was killed in the middle of Dealey Plaza, named after a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason. Or was he? Anyhow, not to go down that road, let's go over these dates. March 3rd, July 26th, September 18th. There's something special about all three of them. So Truman, 33rd president. 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason, just like George Washington. What is it about 33 in Masonry? Again, it comes from the spiritual belief Kundalini. Kundalini says spiritual ascension happens up the 33 bones of the human vertebrae, enlightening the mind's eye, which is the pineal gland. And for the record, in Gematria, Kundalini sums to 58, like Freemasonry, like Rosicrucian, like secret society. Also like Washington, like United States, like We the People, like Don't Tread on Me, like a lot of things that pertain to the history of this nation, a nation established largely by Freemasons. So 33, other things that sum to 33 that are relevant here. Masonry, federal, order, secrecy, they're all 33. And, these institutions, the CIA, the NSA, they're pretty secretive. Like how Masonry is a secret society, which again, the House of the Temple, the Scottish Rite headquarters in DC. March 3rd is also the 62nd day of the calendar year. And interestingly enough, the word Mason sums to 62. March 3rd also leaves 303 days left in the year, 303, not too far off from 33. So that's the day the National Security Act gets introduced. Then July 26th, the 33rd president, who's a Freemason, he signs it into being. And what is it about July 26th? Well, it leaves 158 days left in the year. 158 days. And Freemasonry has this gematria of 158. As a reminder, Washington, D.C., it was once... Uh-oh, my camera did that freezing thing. I'll bring it back. It unfreezes after like 5 minutes. But anyhow, Washington, D.C., it was once the Catholic colony. The Jesuits controlled it. And what's interesting is the Jesuits and the Scottish Rite, they both have a lot of influence in that area where the nation's capital is. Again, D.C. is named after the Scottish Rite Freemason, George Washington. They have the House of the Temple there. The motto of the Scottish Rite at the 32nd degree is the same motto shared by the Jesuits, as you see on the screen. And why is this interesting? Well, that motto, which is Latin, has gematria of 115, like Masonic, also like France. And the Jesuits were formed in France once upon a time, just like the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry has a long history in France. Think of how many of the founders who were Masons spent a lot of time in France. The motto means for the greater glory of God, which sums to 351. That's the 26th triangular number. The tetragrammaton in Hebrew sums to 26. The word God in English sums to 26. If you have not read my book, the first chapter is Why Are There 26 Letters in the English Alphabet? You really got to read the first chapter of my book. Blow your mind about 26. But just understand, God has this connection to 26 in English and in Hebrew. There's a lot of overlap between the numerical values of words in English and in Hebrew. For the greater glory of God, again, 351, that's the 26th triangular number. If you add 1 through 26 together, it equals 351. Kind of like how in this most recent Super Bowl, the AFC won its 26th Super Bowl, and the only touchdown scored was by number 26, exactly 351 days after his birthday. That was Sony Michel, who's also from Georgia, where the Super Bowl was played. And none of that's an accident. This is how scripted and planned things are. While we're living in this prison security police state, most people are oblivious, careless, not caring, and distracted with entertainment, which is controlled by the same Masonic cartel and orchestrated the exact same way. It's like why you had September 11th, and then you had the Patriot Act, and then you had the emergence of the New England Patriots. And don't forget how the golden boy Tom Brady began. It was a New York Jet, Mo Lewis, who sacked number 11 Tom Brady, injuring him, bringing about, or not, did I say sack Tom Brady? I mean, he sacked Drew Bledsoe, injuring Bledsoe supposedly, which gave rise to Tom Brady. And then Tom Brady got his first start on the 99th day of the year. Patriot equals 99, the United States of America 99. Don't forget the United States of America was named on September 9th, 99 in 1776. Brady likely just won his last Super Bowl to conclude the 99th NFL season. Anyway, with regards to God, this code of letters and numbers comes from Kabbalah. In Kabbalah's text, the Book of Formation, it's stated in the opening paragraph, God created the world by merging the letter with the number with the word. And the thing is, these people, these Masons in high places who operate by this code, they are seemingly playing God with this knowledge. Also, Masonry and Jesuit talking about the overlap between the Jesuits and the Masons, and the history in France, and the Scottish Rite, and how their symbolism is in Washington, D.C. Masonry and Jesuit are both 84. A second ago, I said the United States of America equals 99, which is true. If you drop the and just do United States of America, it sums to 84. And remember, they said AT&T and some other companies were keeping all of our records going back to 84. Again, they probably went back further than that, but just understand why they would have reported the year 84. And don't forget about George Orwell's 1984. George Orwell was a member of the Fabian Society. Fabian equals 33, which is another Masonic order. As for the overlap being at the 32nd degree between the Jesuits and the Scottish Rite, America equals 32. The date of establishment, a date with 32 numerology. Scottish is also 32. For the person calling in right now from Nebraska, let me finish presenting, and then I will open up the phone lines, and I will take your call. So just be patient. I won't be much longer. There's a few other things I want to talk about. But again, we got on this talking about how July 26th is the day leaving 158 days left in the year. Freemasonry equals 158. There's this overlap between the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry and the Jesuits. And look at what the Jesuit formation date is. August 15th, or 15/8, like 158. I maintain that the Scottish Rite and the Jesuits are the unholy alliance that have so much influence, especially over this nation and this world. And again, sharing mottos, their history in the Washington, D.C. area, the United States of America being the military prowess of the world, George Washington being a military general, the Jesuits being a military order. For the record, Society of Jesus has Gematria of 187, so does ancient accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, 187. George Washington's 187. Washington, D.C. is also 187. So, special numbers. Let me see if my camera unfroze. No, it did not. Okay. So again, we had 3 dates here with regards to the National Security Act. We had March 3rd, 3/3. We had July 26th. And then we have this other date, September 18th, which happens to be the day that the cornerstone for Washington, D.C. was laid in history. So we'll get to that and what's so special about September 18th. Notice September 18th, 47 was a date with 74 numerology. Masonic 74, Occult 74, Gematria 74, English 74. Just using the alphabetic order. All those things sum to 74. What are the odds? This code comes from Jewish mysticism. Jewish is 74 using the alphabetic order. The tribute's supposed to be, or the code is supposed to be in tribute to God. Jewish folks write God G-D. G's the 7th letter. D's the 4th, 7-4. To be a Mason, you have to believe in God, a supreme being. When you turn the alphabetic order around and use the rules of numerology, George Washington's also 74. With the alphabetic order, holidays also 74. Independence Day with the alphabetic order and rules of numerology, 74. Again, you want to know the alphabetic order forwards and backwards, and also incorporating the rules of numerology. It allows you to see all riddles. So September 18th, the day that this was enacted, CIA came about, other things. Again, this was the day in history that the cornerstone for Washington, D.C. was laid. It was September 18th, 1793. And remember, 93 is this number that represents Saturn. Saturn's associated with time. The word time, using the alphabetic order, is 47. And we're about to get to the significance of 47. September 18th, 1793. It was a date with numerology of 137 as well as 47. And again, we're talking about this date in the year 47. So we'll elaborate on this. We'll bring all these numbers together. Just in case you are new here, I'm just going to take a moment to show you something. If you write out Washington, D.C., these are our 4 base ciphers that you really want to know. With the alphabetic order, Washington, D.C. is 137. With the reverse alphabetic order, that means making Z1 counting back to A is 26. Washington, D.C. is 187. The name George Washington is 187 with the alphabetic order. Let's see. So alphabetic order, reverse alphabetic order. And then right here you have the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. So for example, W is the 23rd letter. W is 23 here. With the rules of numerology, 23 is 2 plus 3 is 5. In this cipher, you just make each letter a single digit number. When you turn the alphabetic order around, W becomes the 4th letter. And this last cipher is just using the reverse alphabetic order and the rules of numerology, you see. Look at Washington, D.C. in light of mind control. Do you see the overlap? Do you see the overlap? Government means govern the mind, which essentially is mind control. Do you see the overlap in 3 of the 4 ciphers? This is not an accident. This is what it's all about. This is what it's always been about. And in light of me paying tribute to Mark Passio, who I really do appreciate, him and I have different beliefs on the founders of this country. He thinks the founders were pure in their intentions. And, you know, he thinks when the nation was set up, people were as free as they ever were. I look forward to the day that I talk to Mark Passio in person about this. It might very well come this September. I have been invited to a conference there this September, which I would like to go to and do plan to go to, and Mark Passio is supposed to be there. But I don't know how someone could believe, honestly, that this people were as free as they ever were when this nation was being founded. I guarantee you the people who were genocided by the same people who set up this government were a lot more free. Guaranteed. So anyway, I don't think that the founders of this nation had pure intentions at all. Maybe they had better intentions than the people who now control, but I think this was always supposed to be a military slave state, which is exactly what the nation was born out of. Genocide, murder, war, and slavery. So anyway, some other things about September 18th that matter. There's some other things here. It's the 261st day of the year. The United States of America with the alphabetic order is 261. The nation's capital's cornerstone was laid on this day in history. Obviously not by accident. It's also the day leaving 104 days remaining. April 7th, 1974 was a date with 104 numerology as well. That's the release date of this film, The Conversation. And July 4th, 1776 was also a date with 104 numerology. What this is in tribute to is where modern Masonry comes from. The United Kingdom, Great Britain, the United States, the United Kingdom. We've always been united under the Masonic umbrella. And that covers our 3 dates: September 3rd, July 26th, September 18th. Now, let's get to the year 47, the year the National Security Act went down. Also, again, The Conversation, which has to do with this act, released on April 7th. The Masonic compass and square, which is how it's referred to. My brilliant caller from New York said, this isn't technically a compass because there's no place to put a pencil. When there's no place to put a pencil, it's really called a divider. But if you look up, any Masonic website, they do refer to it as the compass and square. But the caller does make a great point. It does look like a divider. Anyhow, the Masonic compass that originates out of France is set at 47 degrees. There are other Masonic logos where the compass is set at different measurements. Some are set at 45 degrees. By the way, with regards to coming out of France, France 47. Some are set at 45 degrees. Geometry equals 45. You have instruments of geometry around a capital G. Masonry says that the G symbolizes the great architect who is the master geometer of the world. Again, the old world spiritual belief that, geometry is the language of God. So some Masonic compasses are set at 45 degrees. Others are set at 60. And of course, the word order equals 60, the Masonic order. But out of France, it's set at 47 degrees. And let's not forget that L'Enfant, the Scottish Rite Freemason, the 33rd degree, is who designed Washington, D.C. So with regards to 47 in mind and the National Security Act coming out of D.C. in 47, let's look at this. The 47 degrees is also in tribute to the 47th problem of Euclid, which is important to Freemasons. It's about the Pythagorean theorem. It's also about how to establish foundation for a structure. Again, the cornerstone for Washington, D.C. was laid on a date with 47 numerology. Modern Freemasonry also began in London, June 24th, 1717. That date, 6 plus 24 plus 17, is 47. Notice the word foundation has gematria of 47. Did you guys just see that blurb that just came up here? Eyes in the sky. More and more airlines are having cameras installed on them. What a fitting headline while we discuss this. I just real quick, I'm going to go off topic. Well, not off topic, but just on a little tangent real quick. Understand what happened after September 11th. September 11th happened at the same moment in time when people were starting to carry around cell phones in their pockets. And cell phones in record time had phones and cameras on them. And then next thing you knew, everyone was carrying around a device that had GPS tracking and a phone and a camera. And now what do we have? We have Siri and all these other alternatives that are constantly listening to us. I had to turn Siri off on my phones because it's constantly opening up. It's like, I'm not even talking to you. I mean, all of us are participating in this surveillance state. I tried to protest it and resist it for the longest time, and I guess I could do a better job. But I mean, if you don't have a cell phone, people act like you don't exist. So anyway, just understand, we are living out an agenda. All of this is being perfectly planned and coordinated. So anyway, the Freemason compass set at 47 degrees coming out of France. Not arbitrary. It's in tribute to the 47th problem of Euclid, which is about how to establish foundation. And this is why so many Masonic cornerstones have been laid on dates with 47 numerology, from the lodge that began modern Freemasonry in the UK, again, June 24th, 1717, to the cornerstone for Washington, D.C., September 18th, 1793, and to this nation's birthday, July 4th, the date that can be written 4/7, the fourth day of the seventh month, plus many other things. But look, foundation, using the alphabetic order and rules of numerology, 47. The circle at the top of the 47 degree is known as the pole star. In the 47th problem of Euclid, you use the North Star, rope, and anchor points to make a perfectly square foundation. Part of Masonry's secrets. But pole star with the reverse alphabetic order in rules of numerology, 47. In that same cipher, government is 47. Authority, 47. With the reverse alphabetic order, DC is 47. Again, the city that was designed by L'Enfant, the Scottish Rite Freemason from France. France, 47. Notice the word president is 47. White House is 47. Republicans, 47. Whig is 47. The Republican Party came out of the Whig Party. The word Democrat is 47. Right now you have 47 Democrats in the Senate. Always a symbolic number in D.C. The word Caesar's 47. The current president, Trump's 47. The night of the rigged election, he was in the 47-story Midtown Hilton Hotel. The last President Obama took office at age 47. Bill Clinton took office 211 days before his 47th birthday. 211 is the 47th prime. It's always been an important number to the presidency. Think about Lincoln, 4-score-and-7 years ago. It was Lincoln who led the transition from the Whig Party to the Republican Party. 4-score-and-7 years ago. He could have just said 87 years, but instead he said 4-score-and-7. Think it was an accident? So, with regards to this film about the National Security Act and our government keeping surveillance on us and collecting our information, 911 was made the national emergency dialing code February 16th. That's the 47th day of the year. 31 days in January plus 16 more in February. The 47th day of the year. That was in 1968. So we're gonna see why Gene Hackman was chosen for these movies. Also in 1968, August of 68, World Trade Center construction began. And Google is now changing the answers to questions that have always existed for years. You used to search Google, what year did World Trade Center construction begin? It came up right away, August of 1968. In recent months, check this out. What year did World Trade Center construction begin? Oh, it began in 1970 now. Google is changing a lot of answers that are completely false. And this is not by accident. It's because this information is spreading. And they want people who are very lazy to do exactly this and go, oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. That must have been false information. Google just here gave me the answer. It was 1970. This is completely false. It was 1968. It's well documented. 911 made the national emergency dialing code in 1968. World Trade Center construction began. George W. Bush, whose birthday, let me show you something. Well, first of all, George W. Bush graduated from Yale and Skull and Bones, and we're going to be talking about them in light of Enemy of the State here in a moment. But look at this. George W. Bush, his birthday is July 6th, which happens to be the 187th day of the year. You see that? July 6th. Born in 46. I just want you to see that July 6th is the 187th day of the year. George W. Bush, you know. Again, George Washington with the alphabetic order is 187. Washington, D.C. with the reverse alphabetic order is 187. What's etched on the house of the temple, the Masonic headquarters for the Scottish Rite, is ancient accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. Oops. The alphabetic order and rules numerology 187. Notice the 227 as well. That's the 49th prime. Washington equals 49. So does Scottish 49. So does America 49. Another special number. But 187, big number. Society of Jesus 187. Remember Donald Trump, he had his GOP convention begin July 18th. 18/7, a span of 187 days from Inauguration Day. Anyway, what I wanted to show you is from George W. Bush's birthday, July 6th, to September 11th. Each year, that is a span of 68 days. So July 6th, 2001 to September 11th, 2001, 68 days, right? And you remember Bush's favorite word? Terror. But terror 68. And don't forget the 41 either. We'll come back to that number. So anyway, all these things going down in 68. 911, World Trade Center construction, Bush getting out of Yale, Skull and Bones. Don't forget his father was the head of the CIA, you know, National Security Act. 2001: A Space Odyssey came out that year, a movie about technology overtaking man. Gene Hackman, from his birthday to the release of the film, The Conversation, came out on his 68th day of his age. His 68th day of his age. And here's what else. It was AT&T, which used to be Bell, that made 911 the national emergency dialing code. They paved the way. And don't forget what just happened this year on February 26th. If you weren't aware of this, I covered this. I have a video up on it you can check out. From September 11th, 2001 to February 26th, 2019. That's the anniversary of the 93 World Trade Center bombing. From that date, September 11th to February 26, 2019, was exactly 911 weeks later. And the top story the morning of February 26th was that about the AT&T and Warner Brothers merger. You see how they did this? 911 weeks later, AT&T, who made 911 the national emergency dialing code on the anniversary of the World Trade Center bombing. That was in 93. It was blamed on the blind cheek. Blind cheek, what do you think that equals? 93. On that day, we get a story about AT&T. Warner Brothers, Time Warner. Anyway, AT&T equals 41, okay? The reason that matters is because September 11th, 2001 was a date with 41 numerology, okay? AT&T made 911 the national emergency dialing code. USA with the alphabetic order also sums to 41. 41 is the 13th prime. It's the nation that began with 13 colonies, 13 stripes, a number that has everything to do with time, the sun and the 12 constellations, the moon and its 13 cycles. Anyway, with regards to 41, Enemy of the State is the film where Gene Hackman's birthday is September 11th. 1940, 1 year to the day of Pentagon construction beginning. Pentagon construction began in history September 11th, 1941. So, Enemy of the State, again, where you get the dialogue about when buildings come down, people's beliefs about national security change. You get Gene Hackman with the September 11th birthday. You get all this skull and bones imagery. You get the conversation about the government having more right to have more surveillance power over the people. This movie had everything to do with what was the discussion that came out of 9/11. And November 20th, 1998 was the day, leaving 41 days left in the year. You see this? Just like how September 11th, 2001 was a date with 41 numerology, just like how they blamed the attack on Al-Qaeda 41, and said the majority of the hijackers were from Saudi Arabia 41. Don't forget that Building 7 that fell that day, Building 7 was 47 floors tall, each floor 47,000 square feet. They're not changing the information on here now, are they? Where's the there it is. The original 7 World Trade Center was 47 stories tall. 47 stories tall. And if you look into it, each floor was 47,000 square feet. It was the Solomon Brothers building, kind of like Solomon's Temple, which is so important to Freemasonry. You know how we were talking about 58 in the beginning in Freemasonry, Solomon's Temple, 58, Freemasonry, 58, Rosicrucian, 58. Freemasonry was born out of the Rosicrucian order. King James, the Freemason, and the Rosicrucian dropped dead at age 58. Secret Society, 58. Anyway, Building 7 was the Solomon Brothers building. Tisha B'Av is to remember the destruction of the 2 temples. Tisha B'Av in Jewish Gematria sums to 911, kind of like 911. The dancing Israelis. I don't want to go down these streets right now. I've covered all these things, but we're just connecting the dots here in the riddles and the symbolism of the numbers and why these numbers matter. So anyhow, Enemy of the State came out on the day, leaving 41 days left in the year. And not only that, but from the day it released nationally to September 11, 2001 was 1,027 days. Now, what stands out to me about 1027 is 0 is null. What does 1, 2, and 7 make you think of with regards to September 11th? Does it make you think of Building 1, Building 2, and Building 7, the 3 buildings that fell in perfect demolition? Not to mention Building 7 was a federal building full of federal records, the court cases involving Enron and WorldCom at the time. Notice it was also 33 months and days, just like how from 1968 to 2001 was 33 years. Masonry, by the way, false flag equals 33, and the same cipher Masonry does. Masonry 33, false flag 33. The word pirate equals 33. That's where the term false flag comes from for many years. The Knights Templar, who were the Masons of their time, they were 86th from Europe, and they went to the seas. But anyway, the other thing I always think about with 1, 2, and 7 is it makes me think of Pearl Harbor, December 7th, which was a false flag which was to get us involved in a war, which was World War II, where out of World War II came the National Security Act. They said we needed the National Security Act to make it so that the events that led up to World War II could never happen again. And recall. Oh, well, first of all, with regards to 127, I should mention that Scottish Rite of Freemasonry does equal 127. And you've probably heard of the Project for the New American Century, which was the right-wing military fascist think tank that became the Bush administration. They wrote a document called Rebuilding America's Defenses, where part of the wording of that document was, further, the process of transformation, even if it brings revolutionary change, is likely to be a long one, absent some catastrophic and catalyzing event like a new Pearl Harbor. This think tank was called the Project for the New American Century. And when did September 11th happen? Well, it happened just a couple years after this was written. And it happened at the beginning of the new 21st century. You see? You see how that works? So what's funny about New Pearl Harbor is look at the Gematria overlap using our 4 base ciphers. Perfect overlap in 3 of the 4 ciphers. New Pearl Harbor and Order Out of Chaos. Perfect overlap in 3 of the 4. Order Out of Chaos is a motto that is very important to the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry and also the Jesuits, who again share this overlap in history, in location, in mottos. With regards to New Pearl Harbor summing to 156, let me load up Number Empire here real quick. Number Empire, great website for learning about numbers. 911 happens to be the 156th prime number. You see that? 156th prime. If you write out Space Odyssey, 2001, A Space Odyssey came out in 1968. Space Odyssey is 156. 68 was 33 years before 2001. 33 happens to sum to 156. So you see how this goes? 911, the 156th prime number. In Jewish Gematria, which is a very important cipher outside of the base ciphers, if you write out false flag, it equals 156. False flag, 156. And again, Tisha B'Av, to remember the destruction of the 2 temples, not too far off from the 2 towers, 911, which is the 156th prime number. New Pearl Harbor. You think that was an accident? I doubt it. So the motto, Order Out of Chaos. Well, first of all, before I get to that, Rebuilding America's Defenses, what this document was called, sums to 158. Remember how the National Security Act was signed on the day leaving 158 days left in the year by the 33rd president, Truman? Harry S. Truman. And oh, by the way, what day is Harry S. Truman's birthday? What day is it? May 8th. You got to love it, right? May 8th in the year 84. Again, Freemasonry, 58. Masonry, 84. Old 33. But the Masonic motto, Order Out of Chaos, in Latin, it's written Ordo Ab Cal. Ordo Ab Cal. And Gene Hackman, who plays the same character in the 2 films we're talking about, The Conversation and Enemy of the State, who works out of a warehouse in a metal mesh cage to keep out the government frequencies. Gene Hackman plays the character Edward Lyle. And notice the overlap between Gene Hackman and Edward Lyle. Perfect overlap, 4653. Look at the Latin phrase, Ordo Ab Cal, 4653. And of course, the word chaos is 46. And Gene Hackman's character in Enemy of the State, his birthday is September 11th. So let's revisit that. Enemy of the State, This film did premiere before its grand opening 2 days later in New York, November 18th, the 322nd day of the year, leaving 43 days remaining. In Yale, where Skull and Bones is out of, that identifies by 322, Yale 43. Don't forget that the election, the president at the time was George W. Bush, the 43rd president. That election came down to the state where his brother was the 43rd governor. Florida's 43. His father was the 43rd vice president. His father was also the 41st president. Skull and Bones 41. Like how September 11th went down on the day with 41 numerology. Like how Enemy of the State came out on the day, leaving 41 days left in the year, November 20th. But check this out. Again, oh, you know what? I'm mistaken. I'm sorry. It's not Gene Hackman's character that has the September 11th birthday. It's the man who works for the NSA, who's responsible for killing the politician. It's his character. The man who works for the NSA has the September 11th, 1940 birthday. Apologies. But still, the characters, the encoding, the dialogue, the content, what it's all about, no mistake about the predictive programming here. So again, the name of this man, Brian Thomas Reynolds, or Thomas Brian Reynolds, Gematria of 281, which is the 60th prime. Skull, as in Skull and Bones. We're going to talk about how this goes together again. A Masonic order, Order 60. But 281 is a very important number to the history of Skull and Bones. And again, I just talked about this the other day. George Herbert Walker Bush, who died on November 30th, 11 plus 30, 41. He died in Houston, the 281 area code. And prior to that, his father, Prescott Bush, who was a member of Skull and Bones, died on October 8th, the 281st day of the year, leaving 84 days remaining. And prior to that, Williamson Huntington Russell, which is the name of the trust for Skull and Bones, who was the man that co-founded Skull and Bones, he died on his 281st day of his age. He celebrated his last birthday in the year 84. He died in New Haven, Connecticut, where Skull and Bones is. See how this goes? He died on May 19th. May 19th. Notice it's the 139th day of the year, leaving 226 days remaining. Freemasonry equals 139. So does America. Not an accident. Symbolic numbers as well. In this same film, this isn't very clear, but you can verify this. It's an hour and 49 minutes into the film, and about 30 seconds, Will Smith, his character, looks at the watch, and the time on the watch is 3:22. 3:22. This is later after they show you this up here, the man with the September 11th birthday. And again, think about George Herbert Walker Bush, who gave this speech September 11th, 1990, 11 years to the day, about a new world order, a world free of terrorism, free from, what does he say, the rule of the jungle, however he phrases it. Then his son's president, King George II, these Skull and Bones men. With regards to this happening at an hour and 49 minutes into the film, look at the Gematria of Skull and Bones again, just using the alphabetic order. Skull and Bones with the alphabetic order is 149. Hour and 49 into the film, they show you 322 on the screen. And it's not just the films that we're talking about today. When you learn this knowledge of letters and numbers, you see how they encode practically all of their films. The addresses, just pay attention to movies, how often they're sure to get a number very clear in the background of a shot. They want it tucked away right behind the character in a corner. It's just obvious that that number's meant to be a part of the shot. They're sure to make sure it's clear, visible, hanging around on the screen. This scene's completely irrelevant. He doesn't need to know the time here. It just shows him go to his watch and look at it, and then he makes a joke about how cheap the watch is. But that's because earlier he had to throw away his nice watch, which had been bugged, which was a gift from his wife. So anyway, Skull and Bones, 322. And for the record, just in case you haven't read my book, 322, it gets its symbolism from Genesis 322, which is about the tree of life and knowing good and evil, which is a reference to the tree of life from Kabbalah. That's the 78th verse of Genesis. Genesis 322, Genesis with the alphabetic order 78. Genesis is also 33. It means in the beginning, which is 137, the 33rd prime. In Hebrew, Kabbalah equals 137. But Genesis is important to the Abrahamic religions, which are Judaism, Christianity, and Islam in order of establishment. Abrahamic religions with the reverse alphabetic order is 322. The ancient mystery religions include things such as Hermeticism, Kundalini, Kabbalah, alchemy. These things are all very important to Masonry too. And really they should be important to all people because they're knowledge. They're knowledge, and people should have knowledge. But notice ancient mystery religions when you turn the alphabetic order around. 322, and notice also the 119. The 119. September 11th was a massive Masonic ritual paying tribute to all of this knowledge. Remember, in Kabbalah, there's two sides. There's the tree of life, which is about understanding, God, the way the world operates, our place within it, how to spiritually ascend. There's also the tree of death, which is about what, you might refer to as evil witchcraft, hurting people, controlling people. So I'm not here to demonize Kabbalah and occult teachings and ancient knowledge because it's not all evil. It's just that the people who control this world, they understand this knowledge. They know that we don't, and they use it for evil. So I'm sure there's even more in this film if you look even more carefully. I know I did see a February 12th date come up in the film too. That's the 43rd day of the year. Again, Yale 43. By the way, New Haven, CT, where Skull and Bones is located. 43. Don't overlook the 47. The 115, Masonic 115, Freemasons 115. We've covered all these numbers. Freemasons also 43, Masonic 43. So here's the last piece I want to get to. 33. It's March 3rd. What's this whole 33 thing about? Again, we talked about the spiritual ascension up the 33 human vertebrae, Kundalini. 58, when you turn the alphabetic order around. Don't overlook the 41 either. 9/11 will have to do with 33. But Freemasonry, again, 58. But in Hebrew, Kabbalah sums to 137. 137. The band Dream Theater just put out a new album, and one of the songs on there is titled 137. You might want to check that out. But 137, again, is the 33rd prime. There's so many things in this world that have to do with this number. But just look at this right here. Again, we know it has a lot to do with masonry. Masonry, secrecy, order, federal. They're all 33. With regards to the 33 bones in our human vertebrae, with the alphabetic order, people's 33. So it's person. So it's society. Humanity's like a disconnected nervous system right now. But again, masonry, secrecy, order, federal. Out of these four ciphers, which are all important, the most important is the alphabetic order and the rules of numerology. All of them are 33, just right there. But here's the point I want to make, bringing it back to masonry. Albert Pike, the 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason, he wrote the text Morals and Dogma. In that text, he says masonry owes all thanks to Kabbalah. Morals and Dogma sums to 137. There's a statue in Washington, D.C. of Albert Pike holding his book, Morals and Dogma. When you turn the alphabetic order around, government is 137. Authority is 137. Washington, D.C. is 137. Mind control is 137. And think about how Kabbalah is supposed to be in tribute to God. The people who have this knowledge are clearly playing God. And, think about spiritual teachings of God. God is everywhere. God is all knowing. God sees all things. Think about what the police state's trying to do with technology. They are trying to make it so that they have surveillance over all things, that they know where every person is, what every person's up to, what their interests are, who they're talking to, what they're believing in, what they're researching, what they're speaking about. And then at the same time, they're also, using this technology to steer us astray, trying to make us pursue entertainment instead of knowledge. And look at what they've done with their entertainment industries. Something that's dawned on me as soon as September 11th happened is just when you're awake, you start to notice things that other people sleep on. But I started to realize just how many little jokes are inserted in public programming, from movies to TV shows, about people who pursue truth. And then we get labeled conspiracy theorists and all the other stereotypes that are out there. My camera's probably working again. Okay. So you guys can see me in my cool blue light blocking glasses. Again, for you young people out there, enjoy your youth, because I've reached a point where I can't look at the computer screen without pain, but these glasses help remedy the problem. Thanks for the people out there who tipped me off. But anyway, again, in this entertainment that's constantly programming us, what to think is cool, what to believe, what to make our culture, what to make our worldview. I just noticed after 9/11 just how full of the message was that people who questioned things were, weirdos or losers, or, to not be taken seriously. And look at our populace. Almost everybody is into entertainment. Almost nobody cares about knowledge. Almost everybody makes fun of people who seek and speak truth and label us with the stereotypes. And, it's no secret why we're ruled over. The people who rule over us, they know they've got this knowledge and they don't want other people to have it. And they don't want other people to look into it. And they want people to think it's silly and it's stupid and it's ridiculous and it's childish. Or another way that it's been attacked is from, the religious sect, where having certain knowledge is evil. Numbers are evil. Understanding astrology is evil. Looking into magic is evil. The people who are ruled over, they believe. The people who do the ruling, they don't believe. They think. They pursue. They collect knowledge. That's the big difference between Christianity and Gnosticism. They're very similar. They both have this overlying view that, the world is full of evil and people need protection. In Christianity, you get that protection from believing in Christ. In Gnosticism, you get that protection from pursuing knowledge. And I just want to show you something about the word Gnosticism. You notice Gnosticism is 47, our most pure cipher. Look at the word Christian. You see, it's 47 as well. Very, very similar, but key differences. One's about believing in something, and then the other one is, again, about pursuing knowledge. And the word Gnostic is also 33. Speaking of which, Bible, when you turn the alphabetic order around, it's 33. So it's Sunday. Jehovah. The word son, like the Son of God. So, anyway. Something else I want to talk about real quick, unrelated to everything we just covered, is Mark Passio. I'm filling in for Mark Passio without his permission. Mark Passio, what he focuses on is getting people to research occult knowledge, and he says it for the same reasons I do. Know your enemy. This is what the people who rule over you are into. To understand them, you have to understand the things that they're into. And the other thing Mark Passio is always talking about is human ethics and morality and what really is right and wrong. And he's right on to talk about both of these things. Him and I are cut from the same cloth. I mean, we come from different backgrounds. He's obviously better educated than me. He went to an Ivy League school. I went to Arizona State University. So, I have a lot of respect for Mark Passio. Again, I don't agree with him on everything, but I have no doubt that he's better educated than me and more knowledgeable about the occult. The thing is, the research I was doing, I wasn't even aware of Mark Passio, but then I came across him and he helped me, just realize that I was on the right path and made me feel less alone in the world. But again, he always talks about ethics and morality, and he's right on. That's something I realized. I realized it probably before September 11th, but after September 11th, I really just started to think about it even more. I realized that I lived in a world where people did not care about truth. They didn't care about justice, and seemingly they didn't really care about much besides themselves. The way I was looking at the world after September 11th was, wow, we've obviously just been lied to. We're now, going to invade other lands where we're dropping bombs on people. We're killing people over a clear lie. And I couldn't find a single person, well, outside of my own mother, that cared at all. I couldn't find anyone in the days after September 11th. It took a long time to come across people who felt the way I did, who saw things as I did. And I just saw how sick the world was. And the other thing that was driving me nuts is, it just seemed, for a moment after September 11th, people were worried about their own safety and fearing for the nation, but didn't, like, in no time, it was just back to normal. Just everyone was back to materialism and entertainment. And the other thing that I saw was crazy is the wars obviously had a lot to do with oil. And then all of a sudden everybody started driving Hummers. I was like, what in the world is going on? We're over there. We're fighting wars that obviously have something to do with oil and opium. But I was like, now everybody's driving a car that gets 5 miles a gallon. I mean, are we serious? We went from the days of Honda CRXs. A lot of people driving small cars that got around 50 miles a gallon. This is even before hybrids. But now all of a sudden everybody's driving a Hummer. And I was just like, what kind of backwards world do I live in right now? And of course, that's because the Bush administration gave a $100,000 tax credit to anybody who had that kind of income if they bought a Hummer. So for all the rich people in the world, they could just go buy a gas guzzler and not pay any taxes. But yeah, we have a crisis of values. We don't care about the right things. Those of us who do are in a very small minority. I think a lot of people just ultimately don't know. Mark Passio is really brilliant when he speaks about, natural law and the way people should go about living in this world and having an ethical system. I mean, he's right on when he speaks. Check out his work. I'm not going to regurgitate what he says. But so many people, they think what morality is just believing in what their father taught them or their mother or their grandparents, and just having this belief system makes them holier than thou. I can't tell you how many people attack me because, oh, you're not part of my religion, so you're not a good person. It's like, that doesn't have anything to do with morality. Morality is all about people's actions and the fruit of their labor. I'm someone who's sacrificed a lot of what you might say is pleasure in this world to, again, pursue truth and justice and help wake up other people. I gave up a well-paying job out of college to go work in a group home and a teen homeless shelter. And I could have stayed in that field. I made really good money out of college. I had a 6-figure salary out of college that I gave up to work for $10 an hour in a group home and a teen homeless shelter. And I don't regret it for a second. I felt a lot happier when I was making $10 an hour doing good for the world than getting paid a fortune to essentially help perpetuate real estate fraud. Admittedly, I was part of what amounted to the housing market collapse. I mean, a lot of us were working in that industry, making good money and not doing anything good for the world. So I realized that was happening even before the collapse came. I just said, I'm contributing to something so terrible. I need to go back and get back on the right path. After I graduated from college, I was in the same situation a lot of people were, dead broke. I got offered an opportunity and I took it, and I did it for a little more than a year. And I just realized it wasn't what I was supposed to be doing in this world. And then after, working in the group home and the teen homeless shelter, I went back to school. I got my master's in education, and I began teaching in the poorest district in Seattle. So, I come from a poor community. I've always identified more with poor people, and that's who I wanted to serve. And I did that until I realized that, the education system was even more of a joke than I already knew it to be. And, after I got out of that, what have I been doing ever since? For 5 years, I worked completely for free, putting out this knowledge, pumping out blog posts, videos, radio broadcasts, just getting information out there to help people wake up to the agenda. So, and all the meanwhile, all sorts of people have judged me and said I'm a bad person because I don't have the same religious belief as them. I mean, that doesn't have anything to do with human morality. So, before I open up the phone line here, I do want to talk about something else that I listened to Mark Passio's episode last week, and he talked about his experience at Anarchapulco, and he said the most shameful moment was what happened to one particular speaker. He said there were at least 1,000 people in the room. She took the stage, introduced her topic, and everybody walked out. He said, except for maybe 50 people at most. So nearly 1,000 people cleared out when this woman got on the stage and said what her topic was. And do you know what her topic was? I related right away when he said it, because this was another thing I went through when I was a younger person. I used to be a vegan. This woman wanted to go on the stage and educate people about the importance of veganism and why it's a worthy pursuit. And while I'm not a vegan anymore, I still mostly eat vegan. Here and there's some eggs in my diet, hardly any dairy. I eat fish maybe a couple times a month. That's a more recent thing. I used to not even eat fish, but someday I probably will go back to the vegan diet. But the thing is, it's just people are so systematically programmed when it comes to diet, and so many people are so violently opposed to the concept of veganism. And for all of you who think like veganism's a weak man's diet, find the comments left by a follower of mine named David Tanks. He's a professional bodybuilder that's 100% vegan. He could probably crush any of our heads, with his pinky. So you can absolutely be in great shape and be vegan. I used to be in great shape and be vegan when I was in college. I worked out, I ate vegan, had good muscle mass, completely healthy. So there's all these stereotypes about veganism, but the thing about veganism is it's good for you, and it's good for the world we live in because it consumes way less resources. As a person, you're using less resources to nourish your body and stay healthier. So it's a win-win. And I realize that there's all this information, floating around. Oh, the veganism's the new world order diet. All you guys who are perpetuating that crap are perpetuating just that crap. The new world order diet's fast food. It's processed food. It's toxic chemicals. It's fluoride in your water. That's the new world order diet. Nowhere do you see in the new world order media them encouraging you to be vegan. Look at every infomercial. Do you see them cutting celery and carrots, or do you see them cutting open the turkey and the steak and the chicken and the beef and the ribs? I don't know where you guys get off with this stuff. I realize that this is out there because every time I talk about that, there's 100 comments. Oh, you're perpetuating the new world order vegan diet. No, I'm perpetuating the common sense diet. And I'm not saying you need to be vegan, but if you make a lot more of your diet plant-based, you'll be doing something good for the world and yourself. That's what I'm saying. And Mark Passio said he learned a lot from listening to this speaker. Maybe diet's something he hadn't considered. I don't know what Mark Passio's diet is, but he just said it was the worst moment at Anarchapulco, how the entire room cleared out when she got up to say that she was there to speak about veganism. And that was just depressing for me to hear. It didn't surprise me at all because, again, it took me back to my own experience. I used to hide from everybody what kind of diet I had. People would always be like, hey, how come you're not eating, you're at a barbecue or whatever, or at the restaurant. How come you're not eating the chicken or the hamburgers? I'd say, oh, I'm not that hungry. That's what I'd always say. I never told anybody that I was a vegetarian or vegan because I learned early on that when I brought this up, just everybody got on the defensive. It's like, whoa, I'm not trying to be preachy or telling you what to do. Just anytime people would ask me and I'd answer, they'd be like, oh, well, why are you doing that? Why would you? Oh, I heard that's horrible. Where's your protein? Just every single time. It's just like every single person had the same response. So eventually, just when people ask, oh, I'm just not that hungry. Just thought I'd have a little salad or, just plate of carrots here. So, and I'll tell you what, you look at me and you look at, my peers, I look a lot more younger than almost all of them. And I guarantee you that's for two reasons. It's for the way I've eaten and also because I've consumed a lot less alcohol than the majority of my friends as well that I grew up with. Alcohol is another thing that'll age you. But yeah, just there's so many deep-seated, programming things within all of us that really keep us off a righteous path, from the way we eat to the way we pursue what's important in this world. While the majority of humanity is pursuing entertainment and money and monetary gain, a very small people are pursuing what actually matters and what will help free us from this literally global enslavement. And perhaps that's one last thing I should speak on is money. Another man who I spoke to, who's helping me get synced up with this speaking arrangement in Philadelphia in September of this year. What's funny is I got invited to 2 speaking arrangements in back-to-back days this week. Somebody called me and asked me to speak in Detroit in July, which I would like to do. And then the next day I got a call to speak in Philadelphia in September. Back-to-back days. So people in Detroit and Philadelphia, I probably will be seeing you this summer. And I'm looking forward to that. But about money. Another man who was at Anarchapulco, he said, the thing about Anarchapulco in 2019 versus 2018 is, he said, the energy level was way down. Energy was way down. A lot of people not in the best of spirits. And he said the reason why is because of cryptocurrency. He said in 2018 when Anarchapulco happened, it was booming. It was at its record high. A lot of people were having all this wealth. And then in 2019, it's way down. It went from 20,000 to whatever it's at now, 3,000 something, maybe near 4,000. Anyway, this year, people's wealth is essentially, if you had $100 last year, this year you got $20. So your wealth's way down. And what's so interesting about that is this is a conference for people who don't want to be ruled over. I think Mark Passio, he sells the T-shirts with the anarchy symbol. I think they say no masters, no slaves, something like that. But these are the like-minded people who are at this conference. And lo and behold, this year they're down and out because their money isn't right like it was last year. And again, money is just this instrument that's here to control us. No different than government. It doesn't matter if it's U.S. dollars or another nation's dollars or cryptocurrency. The whole concept of currency is, a system that's about controlling people, period. It's another form of government or religion. And again, if you're new here, if somehow you came in this live stream, you heard me talk before, I've always had this consistent message about what we need to do to break out of the slave system. We need to establish a community. It needs to start with one group of people. And then hopefully if they can set up this effective community, it'll spread. And over time with it spreading, well, here, let me go back to square one. What needs to happen is a community needs to be established where within this community, it's not a money-based community. It's an agriculture-based community. In this community, there's land. There's enough land to grow enough food to feed the people here. We use the technology of the time to create our own energy sources. That can be geothermal, solar, wind. Could be all three if you're in the right location. We have our own food. We have our own energy. We have our own shelter. And if we have those things, we don't need money. We can house ourselves. We can feed ourselves. We can sustain ourselves. And if we have that, that means we're not, beholden to the world that we're all being brought up in, a world where you need money. Some people say, oh, you don't need money, you go be homeless. Well, even if you're homeless, if you want to feed yourself, you're gonna have to beg for money on the corner, right? So yeah, you do need money, even if you're homeless. So if we have this community established, we have a group of people, and we just have a common purpose. And the common purpose, it could be on a sheet of paper. It could be three clear rules. We care about truth. We care about community. We care about local agriculture. And maybe a fourth rule. We don't fight about our differences. We're united in these three rules here. We care about truth, community, and local agriculture. And that's what we take care of. And within that community, if you have those rules established and you have people there who can live by these rules, and I understand if you try to set up this kind of community, you're going to have people trying to infiltrate you and sabotage you. So if you don't follow the rules, you're out. And we're not dumb. We're aware that people are going to try to destroy our community. We're going to keep a watchful eye. We're not going to be divided. We're not going to be made into cliques and turn against each other. We're following our simple rules. But if you can establish this community and this community can be successful, then you can model this community and you can say, hey, and you know what else this community could do in an age like what we're experiencing now? There's these opportunities right now. If you have enough land, you could also harvest a cash crop like marijuana or hemp maybe. And with that revenue, you could maybe help other people grow your community or set up another community somewhere. But if you can create a successful model that other people can emulate, or a model that's successful enough to help other people to build that model, in time, there could be enough of these communities. And then when there's enough, you could have greater actions. You could congregate and meet in places, or maybe imagine that in 50 states, you have 50 of these communities and you say, okay, on this day, what we're all doing is we're all going to our largest city center, and we're going to go out and get the word out about what we're doing, creating these free independent communities so that other people can hear about it, learn about it, and join or build their own communities. Eventually, if you got enough people doing this, then you'd have, the ability or a greater opportunity to do like the federal abstinence campaign. We're not participating in your federal elections. We're not participating in your federal tax system, and we're showing people the way out. Obviously, none of this could happen overnight. Obviously, there'd be a lot of resistance to this, but if we don't pursue things such as this, I don't see what the point of doing anything is, honestly. I mean, what's the point? If we're just going to sit here and look at the way we're being enslaved and mocked and the predictive programming and how we're lied to and our elections are rigged and our food's poisoned and our water's poisoned and our skies are poisoned. If we're just going to look at this every day and talk about it, what are we ultimately doing? We're keeping ourselves in the know, but if there's no action, what is the purpose? And anyway, those are the main things I wanted to express. I've been talking for about an hour and a half now. If anybody wants to call in and has anything to chime in and share, there is a number to call. I can only take one caller at a time. That number is 509-731-0567. 509-731-0567. The only thing I forgot to talk about was censorship, which, I mean, I've talked about plenty. But my channel right now, it's pretty much ghost banned. Almost nobody who's subscribed gets notifications. The videos aren't finding new people. And again, we're using the technology of the controllers, so it is to be expected. But it just reminds that the truth needs to expand. The truth movement really needs to find new avenues other than the internet, because the internet is compromised territory. Unfortunately, it is the best way to reach the masses, with so many people having computers and cell phones. But it is a compromised ground. Let me go out to San Bernardino. What's going on, caller?
Hey, what's up, Zach? Excellent, bro. We love you. You're jamming. This is what I need right, I have a handicapped kid, so I don't have the time, but I've been thinking about a glossary because I've been using the calculator, having fun, freaking out, of course, but a glossary would, and now I got your book. Maybe it's at the end of the glossary, but your book's driving me nuts because I have to read it on my phone, and I'm only about 300 pages into it. I know you're going to get a printed copy eventually, and we're going to be up on that. But is there a glossary at the back of the book? Or does any other people out there want to start putting a glossary together? Like, so 44 we know means kill, and there's some other things.
Okay. So here's why I have not done that today. That's been probably the most popular requested thing for me to do.
Cool.
But the reason I haven't is because, yeah, there are, so in my book, I mean, there were some things you went through where I have like a long list of numbers and what their association is and how they're all related. And I only did that for a few things because I think those are associations people should really know, like 47 and 58. But the thing is, this practice of coding numbers into words, what it's about is finding words that have relationships, like how Jesus, Messiah, gospel, parables, cross, they all sum to 74 using the alphabetic order. They all have an easy to understand relationship, plus they all have the same numerical value. And so those words are all related and they all have this number 74. But there are other groups of words that share the association. So I don't want people to walk away with thinking that, oh, 74 just means Jesus, because it doesn't just mean Jesus. I want people to understand the code and how to use it. If I did do a glossary like that, it would have to be, it would have to be like, okay, here's a group of 74 words that are related, but then there's also this other group of 74 words that have a totally different meaning. Because that's
like maybe positive, like there might be 74, 1,000 negative, words, and then 1,000 positive words from the same.
Because it's dualistic, and that is the way it is. So there's no one meaning for any number is the point that I'm trying to say. There are certain ways that these things are used ritualistically again and again. Like when we talk about murder by numbers, it's always the same set of numbers coming up. But all of those numbers have meanings that are completely different in other topics. So
yes, I'm getting you. It's more complicated than just putting out a dictionary or a glossary. It's a meaning thing, and it's fluid. Mm-hmm.
Right. So maybe in time I'll figure out a way to do that. But I don't want people walking away with the idea that, oh, this number just means that, because that's not true of any number. It's more about understanding numbers that have relationships and how they're used in this system than assigning just a definition to a number.
Very cool. Very cool. That helped me out thinking about it more clearly. So very cool. All right, bro.
All right. Appreciate the call, man.
Next time. Later.
All right. Take care. Okay. So if anybody wants to call in, the number is open. Again, it's 509-731-0567. But yeah, the censorship, I mean, again, I'm on my 18th channel. It looks like my camera's froze again. And now I'm getting ghost banned hardcore. What's up, New York?
Hey, is this that?
It is.
All right, my truth seeker. How is everything?
Things are okay. How are you?
One day at a time. I wanted to ask you, are you familiar with nanotechnology?
Like very teeny tiny technology, a little bit.
Correct. A lot of our foods, especially the grains, are saturated with nano. And just hearing the conversation about how we're under attack, we don't even realize how deep it is. Have you ever heard of Tony Pantarelli? He's on. Basically, Tony Pantaresco. He's on YouTube.
I got to look him up. Tony Pantaresco?
Yes. He does online conversations. He has also a podcast called Independent. It's really, really deep information out there that just exposing. My husband, who put me on to you, he wants to speak, so I'm going to pass it to him.
Before you go, is his channel called Smo Love True?
again? Reiterate that again.
She was telling me about Tony Pantalaresco. Is his channel called Smo Love True? I'm thinking this got to be the guy.
That's not correct.
Oh, it's not him.
He's a chemist / herbalist, and basically he gets more and far more in depth with more with the cellular level of our bodies and what our bodies is being exposed to these chemtrails, which these chemtrails comprises of these nanoparticles in our bodies. It's on our skin. It's everywhere. We just can't see it because they're very miniature. And basically, he emphasized on basically that the organics and everything is all saturated with it, and that after 1960, that's when our food supply was completely corrupted, and there's no difference between organics and non-organics because it's been saturated to the point where no matter what, we're getting the effects of it. And basically, it's a technology where they came up with where it deconstructs your DNA in your body, and it causes majority of the sicknesses that people are being diagnosed to. It makes you more susceptible to the sicknesses, and also on top of that, it gets amplified with the frequency that they disseminate throughout the size, and it also so it breaks down your body's DNA structure.
Well, I need to look at, I'm not educated in any of this, but I mean, I don't doubt a moment of it. Just as you're speaking, it always reminds me of the Georgia Guidestones, where the first rule is maintain humanity under 500 million. And
correct.
So to me, this whole agenda just feeds right into that, you know. So.
Correct. Yeah, correct. It's in depth, but there is a solution, but there are certain things you can take to the body, but the thing is, you cannot remove it, you just can neutralize it. So basically, this war is a really, really litigious war we're in, which, you know, all we can do is just remove the most, you know, as much as we can in the body, but it's unbelievable, man. You should check them out whenever you get the chance. I also did a few gematria on certain things of that nature, connected it, so you know. But yeah, you should check it out whenever you get the chance. But this war, man, it's unbelievable, man. It you know, we get more in depth with the rabbit hole, and to find this information out, it's just unbelievable. But yeah, but I listen to you every week. I've been listening to you consistently for the past 2 years. I make comments here and there, but I never really called in the show. But hopefully, if timing is right, I definitely will permit to do that. But where, New York City, you said? Yeah. Oh, are you like pre-adventure, like want to make a visit to New York City in the near future by any chance?
I actually might be in New York for a wedding of a friend this summer, and if I do, I'd like to set up something and maybe because I know I have a lot of people out there that follow my work. Maybe set up some kind of place where I could have a speaking arrangement or something, or some kind of get together. So yeah, I might very well be in New York.
All right. Well, you know, we'll definitely follow what's going on with, you know, with your travels, and with maybe hopefully most I will, and we could definitely
we could come together. I could find
we could definitely we can break bread because we're vegans as well, and you know, we could definitely break, you know, it'd be a blessing to break bread with you. But I can give you Tony's YouTube page. I could give you the correct name, spelling of his last name if you need it.
Is it PANTEALLERESCO?
RESCO, correct? Yeah.
Okay, I got it.
Just type it up, and yeah, he goes in a more cellular level of these attacks that they're doing, and also how to combat against it, like, you know, potassium iodine, and
basically how to, he don't really he don't sell you anything. He just wants you to be independent and make these things on your own. So you have to depend on these corporations for the constituents and the ingredients to combat against it. He also teaches you to have a independent mindset on how to combat and make these products, these tinctures on your own. So it'll be definitely it'll be informative. So when you get the chance, you definitely check it out. We have time.
I will. I will. I'm interested.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, it was a blessing to finally verbally speak to you. Where is he gonna be in Philly? Oh, where will your location be in Philadelphia, by any chance?
I haven't been given the location yet. I know it's going to be in the city though. So, and it's supposed to be
in the city. Okay, great.
It's supposed to be September. So.
Oh, all right. Well, we in New York, right? We live in New York City, but we like to go to Philadelphia, and there's we go to Philadelphia periodically, and there's some good vegan spots that we like to go to get away.
Okay.
So hypothetically, if things go right, maybe maybe we can link up if everything goes smooth.
I would love that. Yeah, I'm going to let everybody know when I'm going to be there and where the spot is, so that can definitely happen. I look forward to it.
Awesome. I just wanted to say one thing. Even though we consume more vegan, I don't want it to get a misinterpretation of soy. I know some people go in the direction of soy. Do you eat soy by any chance?
I know soy is not good for you, but I do consume some soy. We have some tofu.
Okay. Yeah, if you're going to go in that direction, try to make sure it's as fermented and saturated in some type of vinegar to cut out as much estrogen as possible. I personally have cut it out of my life, and just dealing with that tremendous health issues have dissipated. And it's a miracle. It's a miracle in the doctor's eyes, but it's knowledge in my eyesight of what you put in your mouth definitely coincides to what ends up happening to your body. And it's before we even found you on YouTube, it's hilarious how we met 4-2. And I always say, so I do, it's 42 Martin, and I always, the numbers of 42 and how it coincides. But he was 6th place. All right, first of all, Zach, this is what bugged me out, right? I did a Gematria between us, right? Our birthdays, right? So basically, my birthday is October 10, right? Hers is 11/11, November 11th. So if you add those numbers, it equals 42, right?
Right.
So check this out. We met in the year 2013. So 2013 in March. And can you believe that our first movie together was the movie 42 with Jackie Robinson?
Huh.
Yeah, so it just bugged my mind.
That is crazy.
Just like, wow, like that. Yeah, I'm like, whoa, like, yeah, that just caught me like, wow, like, these numbers, man, these numbers. But I appreciate you actually opening my third eye with the numerology and the numbers in the Gematria, because a lot of things really make sense to me. I used to be, I used to be affiliated with Hebrew Israelite groups and stuff for like the past decade and stuff. But this Gematria is really opening my perspective on prophecy and the Torah and the Bible. So I just want to, thank you and praise the Most High for your wisdom of sharing it, because things is really coming to full circle and connection with this knowledge. So I want to just say thank you.
Well, you're very welcome.
I pray that the Most High continues to give you wisdom and protection, and to continue to use you as a vessel to combat against these powers that shouldn't be.
Absolutely. All right. I appreciate it, friend. It was nice talking to you and your wife. Thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you guys down the road. All right. Have a great day.
All right, man. Take care. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, welcome. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. All the harmful contaminants that are in our environment, from our food to our water to the air. The thing about a plant-based diet is that diet is good for cleaning the harmful particles out of your body. You know, you eat processed foods and heavy foods like meat and dairy. That food does just the opposite. It helps cement those things in your body. Then you're not processing them out as well. So let's go out to Las Vegas.
Hello?
You're on. Whoa.
Okay. I'm coming from Vegas. I'm gonna make this quick for you here. I just wanted to bring up this point that I was raised in a African American community, and the knowledge that you're giving out, it was almost either completely absent or completely unavailable. And the fact that I'm able to uncover this knowledge, it's like I see the bigger picture now, because so many people do not know this knowledge. It may seem like people, get a message, but they're actually not.
I think, hey, just so you know, something is really wrong with my phone right now. I don't think it's you. Let me reset my phone. I'm gonna, because can you hear that? Yeah, it sounds like there's a helicopter living in my phone. Let me reset the phone, and then I will call you back as soon as it resets.
Okay.
That sounds like the NSA. Wow. Yeah, it started to get staticky on the last one, and then hold on. How do I? Let me turn this thing off and do a little reset here. Hold on. While I'm resetting the phone, I'm going to come out to the chat. Yeah, I'm not sure. Somebody wrote the FBI's there. It sounded like it. My goodness. All right, hold on. I'm resetting the phone. We'll get this thing going again. Yeah, oatmeal and lentils, great food for you. I mean, oatmeal and lentils have made up a huge percentage of my diet over the years. A lot of oatmeal for breakfast, a lot of lentils. Indian food. Indian food will become your best friend if you're vegan. Okay, my phone is reset. I'm going to call back the person who was just on the line, and let's hope that that doesn't happen again.
A little bit.
Yeah, it sounds a little bit better. All right, this is me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know why it was so staticky, but the point I was trying to make was that I grew up in an all-black community, and the information that you're sharing, and it's completely absent from that community, from the black community. There's very, very, very few people in that community with this knowledge, and the fact that I was able to uncover this knowledge and gain it, even though it was absent from from the place I grew up in, it really opened me up to see the bigger picture of how bad this thing actually has gotten. Because there's very, very few people with this knowledge, and because of that, it's like a perpetuating cycle. We've been going through this cycle for thousands and thousands of years, where these controllers, these dominators, have been able to control the masses of people. And it's because the leaders of this world, because I would consider you one of the leaders of the world, like you, Mark Pasquio, I don't know if you ever heard of a guy named James Bomar, Stephon Bomar.
Yeah. Yeah, he does good work.
Say that again?
Yeah, I'm aware of him. He does good work. He even shared my book on one of his own presentations.
Yes. So, you guys, to me, you guys are like the leaders of this world right now, the free world. They're actually putting out information that's probably the most occulted knowledge on the planet. These are the direct things that these controllers and these dominators don't want us to know. And it's crazy because it's so hard to get this information out there. It's very, very difficult to get it in a wide masses. And my point is this: I was thinking of a strategy of maybe how we as a free community can get this information out there? And is it possible to get this information into mainstream minds? Just like how the mainstream media promotes their products, is there any way that we can get this in the mainstream mind? In other words, get this truth, somehow implement this truth into the mainstream media. I mean, I don't know how that would be done because, government obviously won't allow that to happen. But I feel like that's the number one way that it can happen if it did happen to where we've seen that massive awakening happen. And, it was just a thought idea because we have to come up with a truth committee. We have to think like the control stick. We have to try to figure out a way how we can implement this into people's minds because I feel like it's not hitting home, and I just wanted to say this because in my community, I'm probably one of the only people that have this knowledge in my community. And it's almost scary. It's almost scary.
Well, I mean, very few people have this knowledge in any community. I didn't see anybody talking about this in the world until really I started to put it out there and think about the small amount of people that have ever found this work. And it's obvious that they don't want people to find this work. Again, I'm on my 18th channel. This channel is now ghost banned. It's hard to even get any views, even though I'm back up to 50,000 subscribers. So they really do not want this information out there. And it's easy to understand why they don't. They operate by this code every day, and they don't want the people knowing about it. So.
Yes. And, my biggest concern is just how can we as a truth community get this out there in a wide variety for more and more people to catch on. So, I mean, I've noticed people catching on to it slowly, but it's nowhere near the number of people we need to actually have an actual true awakening and actually real world change. We need people in masses. Just like you said before, you're coming up with a slogan or, some type of thing to stop people from voting, stop people from, paying taxes and things like that. But we would need a large amount of people to participate in it. We need literally millions, maybe on a scale of, I would even say billion, a billion people. We can get a billion people to stop voting and to stop participating in taxes. That would cause a massive change. But the question is, how do we get that large of a scale of people to participate?
Well, more people have to talk about this knowledge. That's what I've asked the truth community to start sharing this knowledge, and everybody supposedly that's a truth speaker on the YouTube platform seems to ignore this knowledge, or if they do choose to speak about it, they take a stab at it or insult it. And case in point, I remember after Sandy Hook, when I first started putting out this research, the man who had the Sandy Hook Truth documentary that was pretty viral on YouTube. I'm trying to think of his name right now. I can't think of him. He's a young black man. What's his name? Can you think of what channel I'm talking about right now? I cannot think of it. He had two channels.
I can't remember. I kind of remember kind of what you're talking about, but I can't remember the guy's name either.
Yeah, he used to have a really popular channel. I don't even know if he's still on YouTube, but I kept trying to reach out to him and saying, hey, man, can you incorporate this work about Gematria and Sandy Hook? And finally, he made a response video, and he's like, I'm not talking about Gematria, man. I'm not talking about flat Earth and all this other nonsense. And I was like, wow. So he's finally going to respond and diss the work. And he's just one of many examples. So there's so many, because he had a great audience at the time. And I was like, if I could get him to cover this, a whole lot of people would find out about it. And so
I think
Red Silver J, somebody posted it in the comments. That is his name, Red Silver J. That's exactly who I'm talking about. So
yeah, okay. Well, see, the thing is with the truth community, because I've noticed this, there seems to be like a disconnect where sometimes people in the truth community aren't on the same page. It's like they have different. I don't know why that is, and it's certain things like the whole flat Earth thing where everybody wants to argue the Earth flat is not, and and that makes it so much harder when we have these disconnects with the truth community, because that's what these dominators want. They want the people in the truth community to be the ones that really disconnect from each other, and I see that happen a lot in the truth community. I see that happen with your channel where people want to troll. They want to troll your channel. They want to, and it's people, and it's other people from the truth community. It's other people who call themselves truth seekers, and they're the ones doing it. They're the ones helping the dominators, do their agenda. And I think that's where the problem lies. I think that, like you said, if you get together in September with Mark Passio and go to the, what do they call it, Free Your Mind Conference, those kind of things, and get that word out there, I think that's where the people in the truth community need to get together and develop a plan to really take a big step into getting this information out there in a larger scale, because it's been too long and this information has been out there too long, and it's too much in light. And that's what I wanted to get out there. I know this video's been on for a while, but I just wanted to get that message out there.
Well, I appreciate it. You're right on, and I hear somebody knocking, so you better go take care of that. Thank you so much for your voice. Right. You have a good day. All right, take care. All right. Well, while I wait for the next call, I'm going to answer Simple Truth TV. Simple Truth TV is a person who stepped up and started making Gematria videos. He explains things very clearly. He keeps asking in the comments, what's up with eclipse sacrifices? That's something that Derek talks about. Derek's really focused on the eclipse aspect. They say that the day Jesus was crucified, there was an eclipse. And, the Son of God, an eclipse. I maintain that the Bible's astrotheology retranslated. But here, let me go out to caller right here. What's up, man?
Hey, man. So the last caller, I want to thank him because he's the one who fired me up to call and inspired me, because I've been looking into some things that I've been following for a long time. And I was the guy who called. I told you that my dad was the roadie for the band War.
Right. Yeah. You're the man with the amulets.
Yeah. So it's just basically like science, man. It's hardcore science. But man, did you get a chance to look into the Swiss farmer over in Switzerland, Billy Meyer?
I haven't done that yet. It's in my notes of things to do.
Oh, right, man. Because a lot of the answers that some of the callers and people and even myself have, they're going to be found in the material that this Swiss farmer, Billy Meyer, is talking about. And a lot of his writing and his books and his publishing that have been around since, I think 30 years maybe. And what goes back even further than that is that all the stuff that's going on that we're capitalizing on, scoring on games, scoring on events and everything like that, it's kind of like when you take a step back and look at it, all this stuff has been foretold since for 70 years already by this man. So that's why I was telling you, to kind of look into it and see, just kind of follow the see what you get out of it. I know it's kind of way out there in left field, but hard to imagine type stuff. But I think a lot of people will benefit if they go and look at that Billy Meyer in Switzerland. Look up the spiritual teachings that the things that he's talking about, and how society has become this game, this war, whatever people want to call it, levels of the game, how bad it's got. This guy foretold it all. He doesn't really speak English that much. You'll see a couple videos we catch them online talking about things, but I mean the really, really deep stuff, all this stuff's already been foretold, man. So I just kind of wanted to check up and see if you got a chance to look at that or not, or see what you thought about it, man. Because I think it'll relate to a lot of the questions that people have, in this time that we're living in right now, man. A lot of us don't have a lot of people, we're all looking, we're all searching, we're all doing our diligence, and I think this piece of information will be able to help a lot of people.
All right, yeah, I got a long list of things to look into, and his work is on there. My problem is there just aren't enough hours in a day usually to get through all the things I want to do, but I do appreciate the call and the recommendation, and in time. So.
And because it's beautiful, man. It all aligns with where you're going. You're saying you want to get, all right, we got to shield from acid rain. You're going to want to grow maybe some plants indoors and things like that. And it actually ties in with the Georgia Guidestone. Some of the material, why that number? Why they put that number on that Guidestone? And it actually ties in with the whole story. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on there, man. But all right, man, I'll let you get to it, man. I just want to go put that word out and tell you thanks and Godspeed, man.
All right. Appreciate it, friend. Thank you.
See you. Bye.
All right. Take care, man. So the number is open if anybody else wants to phone in. I won't repeat the number just in case there's somebody else out there who's been waiting. I saw somebody made a number of calls from Niagara Falls. If you want to call back, the line is open. But getting back to the question that Simple Truth TV asked, he's always asking, what's up with these eclipse sacrifices? And I'm always wondering, like, why are you asking me about that? It's Derek who covers that, but Derek got into that just because of Jesus' crucifixion on the cross during the time of a solar eclipse. And to me, that's always been, you know, a sign of what the eclipse of Jesus Christ or the crucifixion is really about. I mean, the cross has been a symbol of the pagans for years to symbolize the seasons and time, which is dictated by the sun in relation to the earth. And, you know, the Son of God, how in our English language you use the word son to describe child offspring, male child offspring, also the object in the sky that makes life possible. Let's go out to Niagara Falls. Hello.
Yes, can you hear me, Ray?
I can hear you.
Okay, good. Listen, what was the site that the husband and wife gave you?
So the name of the man to look into is Tony Pantalaresco, and I'm putting it up on the screen right now if you can see your screen. The name Pantalaresco is spelled Pantall, so like pan tall, and then Oresco, Eresco. Pantall Oresco.
Okay. And about the list, you should include the list regardless of whether people are going to think that it only means one word in terms of a number, and it only means one word or not. It's critical that they have at least an association with the number, period. So if there's 10 names or words or whatever that are associated with the number, list as many as you can that you have available to you with the space that you're going to utilize to complete your book. But I think you should include it anyway, because people generally are smart enough to do it.
Sure. So I see what you're saying. Just like take a number that's commonly associated with a certain ritual so people can learn to identify it in that way. That's what you're saying.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. But don't omit it, please.
Okay, maybe I'll tuck something like into the book I'm finishing right now that I'm supposed to be done with, but just like maybe at the end, just a final note, just patterns to look for. So yeah, I can do that. I do know people want that. I just don't. The thing is, I don't want people walking away with the idea that number only means that thing. So maybe I'll just put like a note there so that people understand that.
If they're familiar with your work, they're going to know that. They're just going to know that. And not only are they just going to know it, they're going to know it by reading the book in the beginning in the first place. I wouldn't get hung up on that. Just include it. And another thing, too, it would be good if you could find someone, that you know, or even yourself, well, maybe not yourself, somebody else. And include the running of their numbers and a couple of people in their family so that people can start to utilize this for themselves. And when they do that, they'll see what this means, what it's really all about. Because then they'll have an association personally.
Sure.
And generally people are interested in things that affect themselves.
Well, the last chapter of my book that is out, that's what it's about. It's about the organic side. So.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, just saying, just let them know that I think you'll be a little bit ahead of the game. But all in all, you do a good job, I think. And I think they all understand. I noticed that in the chat. So it's all a good thing.
All right. Well, I appreciate it very much. Unfortunately, I don't know if it's your phone or my phone. The signals, it's really hard to hear. People on the live stream probably can't hear what you're saying because it's muddled, but I can make it out. So I do appreciate your call and your feedback, and I will make a point to do that in the book that I'm releasing now. Some numbers with some familiar patterns. So I know people want that, so I will do it. Thank you.
Right. And I do have the book, initially, and so it's a good read indeed. Thank you.
All right, thanks for. All right, you have a great day. Thank you.
You too.
All right, take care. Yeah. So. Well, I think we can wrap it up here. We've been going for about 2 hours, and Corky Duke says I should interview Jenny Constantine, who was on Jeff Doherty's show, so you could set her straight on Trump. Okay, I don't know who that is, Jenny Constantine, but yeah. There's just so many people that are in this truth community who are completely caught up in the matrix, you know, that they believe the news is still real. They believe in government. They pick sides with the government. To me, it blows my mind that they don't see through it. So I haven't gone anywhere. I'm guessing the person who said nice to have me back hasn't done any investigation or clicked on my channel at all. All of you guys who are waiting for my videos to show up in your feed, you must not hear me repeatedly saying that I'm being censored. Nobody's getting notifications. No one knows I'm making videos. It's you guys who wait for my video to show up in your feed are probably seeing 1 out of 50 videos I'm putting out. So I know you're trying to be nice, but comments like that just really irritate me, honestly. You know, when I was in the process of, like, when I was on my 15th and 16th and 17th channel, people stop by and they say, "Man, finally you made a video. I've been waiting for one." And yeah, you've been waiting for one of my videos. You haven't been looking to see if I'm out there. But they keep deleting my channel. So you guys have to learn to use the search. You know, you have to learn to search for the person's name, the channel name. Again, the process. For me, you can search my name or my channel name. See if your channel, and I'm probably not the only one being censored. I'm sure all sorts of people are getting censored. But if you go to the channel, and then once you get to the channel and you click videos, then it should show you, you know, what videos have been put out. So the guy who just said, "Thanks for coming back." I mean, coming back, dude, I've been here every day. Coming back, I mean, I've been here nonstop. So, you know, you guys aren't getting notifications. Look at, I mean, what channel with 50,000 subscribers has a video that has 879 views? It's just unheard of. You know, 2 years ago when my first channel wasn't deleted and I had over 50,000 subscribers, I'd put out a video and the video would have 10,000 views in 30 minutes to an hour. Look at these views, you know. After days, you know, so. And something like this doesn't make any sense. Yesterday, this was a trending video. This was a trending topic yesterday, right? The SpaceX launch and the Ellen Ripley dummy. This was a trending topic. How does it have less views than the video I put out about Roy Raymond, something that probably nobody's looking for? So, it just doesn't even make any sense. It just goes to show that new people aren't finding these videos. They're not showing up in people's searches. I'm guessing this video got more views because when people checked their YouTube feed, this was sitting higher than this video, but that's not the way it should work. Trending information, that should be the video that gets the most views. And that just goes to show people are not finding this content, and people who are already subscribed here are not finding this content. You know, when I had 50,000 subscribers 2 years ago and I did a video on a big sports story, that video would have at least 50,000 views. Here we are 2 years later, 2.2K views. You know, this Luke Perry thing 2 years ago, I guarantee this video would have had 100,000 views. Guarantee. Because that's what people are into. Pop tabloid culture. And that's why I cover so many topics, because this study pertains to all these things. All the stuff through the media is being encoded and programmed and scripted this way. And, you know, I'm just trying to reach people this knowledge. So every story that comes across the plate, I'm going to, you know, that I have the time to take a stab at, I will. So. Also, before I do wrap up this podcast, just for the Marty Leeds channel, again, this is a guy that likes to troll me on my Skype page, but won't have a debate. I'm just going to put it out there. Marty, let's have a debate. Marty just did a video this week saying that anybody blaming stuff on Freemasonry is lying. You know. So, Marty, I'd love to have a debate about the relevance of Gematria, what you teach versus what I teach, and let's see if Freemasonry really is completely innocent, like you ranted about this week. What's up, caller?
Hey, what's up, my man? I've been wanting to call you for a long time.
Well, thanks for calling in.
I'm calling from Philadelphia. Are you still on air?
I'm still on air.
Okay, I got something to tell you. There's some really revealing stuff I've been coming across. And it's like 322, the skull and bones. I figured out what that whole sign means. You know, just by studying stuff that you go over the numbers and everything. And 322 adds up to 7.
Right.
You got 2 leg bones, each one of them is a 7. And you got the skull, and everybody's skull has 7 holes with it. So basically you're looking at 4 sevens, which is 47, 28, big numbers. And also, you know, 4 sevens creates is a swastika.
Does it?
When you swastikas consists of 4 sevens.
Yeah. Okay. I'm envisioning it. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So basically, the skull and bones sign symbol with the 322 is just a fancy way, coded way to put a swastika in front of everybody's faces.
Huh.
What do you think of that?
Well, I think that's an interesting theory. I know that the swastika also is a spiritual symbol. I think it's been inverted in the swastika.
Oh yeah, it's an old symbol, and what that symbol does mean is like from corner to corner of the earth. You know, it's like everywhere. It's like it means like encompassing everything basically. So basically, it's a symbol of their pervasion and perversion of the whole system. And it's like their symbol. It's their go-to symbol, I guess. And that's why you see so many 4 7, 2 8. 4 times 7 is 28. You know, and it's like there's so many other things that I want to talk to you about, and but that's like the main first one I just want to like communicate to you. I mean, that's like when it's one of the things when you figure it out and you're looking at it, you're like, wait a minute, this is what this is. So basically, 322 with the skull and bones is basically, you know, putting 4 sevens out there, which is a swastika. So basically, you know, and I've been, you know, this truth thing, I've been theorizing, you know, what I do basically, Zach, is I have floating variables, okay? And I think everybody should do this. You know, keep something in mind that might be possible, but don't be like, you know, like don't throw anything out either. You know, so kind of like get this and that and that and this, you know, just keep everything kind of available to be looked at later. And that's how this all kind of came together with this, looking at this skull and bones, and I was looking at actually the picture on one of your videos, and I'm like, wait a minute, you know, there's 7 holes in the human skull. You know, that's another 7. So
that is very interesting.
So my theory basically is, I'm sorry, but I just want to complete that thought that we're not ruled. I mean, England, everything. I mean, it's quite possible that it's a German thing. You know, America might be owned by Germany. You know, the royal family is German.
Bavarian Illuminati. The Bavarian Illuminati was established just before the American Revolution. I mean, it's all right there. So,
you know, that's what's going on. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. That could be exactly what it is. Coded 7777. You know, and it's a very important numbers. You know.
Have you heard me talk about the skull and? Have you heard me talk about the skull and bone symbol in light of the Knights Templar and how they buried their dead in an ossuary?
Yeah, exactly. That's that symbol. That's why maybe they're doing it. It's that whole 4-7 thing. It's like encompassing the earth. It's like they taking over the earth. That's like their whole symbol of like taking over the earth. Is that you know, for new north? You know, look at it. NEWS is news. It's also northeast, west, south.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah.
It's
Very
like
interesting.
totalitarianism, you know, that's what it is.
Sure. Yeah. I never looked at it that way. It is a very interesting insight. So it makes me think of Prescott Bush. I mean, he made a lot of money playing both sides of the war. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure every war was pretty much, you know, propaganda, you know, especially in the last century.
Well, when you say propaganda, do you like the way I described it? Is they've all been needless. They've all been for agenda for building this new world order. One of the chapters in my book shows how all of these wars in modern history that we study, they've all been started and ended on dates that were specific to the war, by the code, by the numbers, and to me that just proves that none of them needed to happen. So.
I mean, if you got a big, you know, say you're living in a neighborhood, like you this neighborhood, like I was, you know, neighborhood analogy, like the big bully on the neighborhood that collects your money and tells you all the news about what's going on, and you're supposed to rely on this big bully guy, like for all your information. You know, it's just what, you know, they've probably been running the world, Zach, for a long time, and you know, they're very easily, if they have, you know, all their power guys in all the other countries, then they can just get together and fake everything. I'm not saying maybe like some regular, you know, quote unquote peasant class people got killed in wars or whatever, but I think overall they're a bunch of, you know, more made up, you know, contrived news.
Well, they do say that the first casualty in war is the truth. So I have no doubt that a lot of lies come out of the wars. Yeah, I mean it's a hard thing to prove or disprove how many lies are told and how many fabrications. I mean, that's 6 million one. We know about that, but I do think that a lot of people were killed in the world wars, though. I think there was a lot of.
Yeah, but you never know the numbers. I don't know. It's a touchy issue because it's hard to imagine. But just like, you know, you and I both know, it's hard to imagine a lot of stuff we found out to be fake, you know?
Sure.
So who knows? I mean, that's the whole floating variable thing. You can't really dismiss nothing, you know, until we really know. So another thing I found out, like with, you know how the sign for Freemasonry is the, you know, the divider or the compass and the square with the measuring on it, right?
Right.
So I've been looking at numbers as far as like measurement, basically base 12, you know, for every 12 units, you know, you make a 1. It's kind of hard to explain over the phone, but when I put in something in Gematria like foot, feet, and inches, or measurement or distance, it came up with the number 112 in like the first cipher. So when I looked at that, I was like, wow, 1 feet equals 12 inches. Okay, so like the third, when you're in the hundreds, so since it was 112, 1 feet equals 12. So the last tens and the 1 digits, I've been looking at numbers, equating them to being inches, and if it gets to a third, the hundreds place, then that's like in feet. So you're able to reduce and find out why all these numbers are related to each other. Like I got 58. So 58 would equal 68. Because you got, no way, I'm sorry. Well, I don't. You know, let me get this together with this whole presentation. But first, I just wanted to tell you that one about the skull and bones. I think it's really poignant, and it really points to a direction like, yeah, this is like, it's an all-encompassing totalitarian thing that it's their symbol. It's 4 7s. It's the swastika. It's that old symbol. It means northeast, west, south. And let me get my things together on this whole. It's like feet and inches and pounds and ounces. Another way to look at numbers, and you'll see why certain numbers are related to each other. I got my notes in front of me, so I'm just like, I'm kind of.
Yeah, it's okay, man. You dropped a lot of information. I appreciate it, and I look forward to the next call. And keep it up, man. You have a great day.
All right, thanks, Zach.
All right, take care. when he was saying that 1 feet is 12 inches thing, it made me think about how mathematics, just using the alphabetic order, is 112, kind of like how 1 + 1 is 2. Reminds that the Jesuits operate in 112 countries. I think that was a good run. I think we did a long enough broadcast, and be back. Well, you know, I'll probably be back sooner than even I expect to be back. So, yeah, I will. Oh, I see what you mean. I see what you mean. Yeah, I'm still not done with the book. I will get back to the hour-long podcast. For all the people who are signed up at Patreon, again, when I finish the book, I'm going to put it out at the bottom tier, $1. You'll get the ebook version of my new book if you're signed up at that $1 tier. For people who don't know, if you go to the description of my videos, every video has all this information. You can get the book here. You can get the merchandise here, like what is the 47 campaign. I don't make any money off this merchandise. Again, the whole reason this is out there is just, you know, if you want to promote awareness about some of these things, like what is 47, you can get a t-shirt. And if you go there, there's always a discount code. Make sure you put that in if you do it, because it'll save you like 50%. And again, I don't care how much you spend, because I don't make any money off it. I just want people who are interested in the message to help get it out there. But the Patreon page, if you sign up at the Patreon at the $1 tier, as soon as I'm done with this new book, I'm going to release it on there as an ebook for $1. It's not going to get you the physical copy, but you'll get the ebook for $1. What's up, man?
So one more. Go to Google fascist under Google and go to images, and then you'll see a bundle of sticks with an axe. And then open up a new tab and type in U.S. House of Congress.
Wait, first of all, you said type in fascist and then look up Google Images. What am I supposed to see?
Yeah, Google image under fascist.
Okay, and what am I looking for?
You're looking for a bundle of sticks with an axe tied together.
Bundle of sticks with an
symbol.
axe. How far down is it?
It should be the first one. Or you just type in fascist and go to images. It'll show a bundle of sticks and an axe.
Unfortunately for me, that's not what comes up.
Oh, are you using Google or DuckDuckGo?
I'm using Google.
Oh, okay. Well, and then go to U.S. House of Congress, and then go to Google Images, and zoom all the way in, flanked on either side of the flag, and tell me that it's not the same symbol.
U.S. House of Congress, and
yeah.
Well, the problem is I can't find this fascist thing.
Okay, well you'll find it after, but yeah, you'll see.
And do you have this posted somewhere in a video or a blog that people can look at?
No, I don't.
Well, maybe you can text me the images or something.
Yeah, okay, I'll do that.
All right. Yeah.
Okay. All right,
I'll show it in the future.
Okay, for sure.
All right, thanks, man.
Yeah. Later.
I forget, what is the Gematria fascist? I gotta look that up real quick. Fascists. It's got that 112 too. It's got a lot of things that remind me of this nation. United States equals 77, America 49. Don't ever forget that on September 11th was absolutely a fascist agenda, military, corporation, state. United States equals 77. On September 11th, they said Flight 77 hit the 77-foot tall Pentagon 77 minutes after taking off. In 77th meridian, 77 feet tall. The Pentagon construction began September 11th, 1941. If you write out September 11th as words, it sums to 77. You see that? World Trade Center is also 77. And so is Secret Society. Secret Society 77. United States, established by a bunch of men from a secret society. 9/11, a secret plan, a fascist agenda. So, and again, out of World War II, what came was fascism. You know, nobody won World War II. Fascism won the war, if anything. So, and how did I think about it? National Security Act, right where we began with the NSA and how it all led up to September 11th. National Security Act is 77. How about that? How about that? The two films that we started with, you know, about the National Security Act and creating the surveillance state and predictive programming of September 11th from those films, The Conversation, Enemy of the State. Again, don't forget what came out of 9/11. The domestic agenda, more reason, more ability to keep surveillance over the population. So, oh yeah, speaking of the corporation and the state, here, let's just do another one. Fascism is the corporation and the state. Let's do another one. Corporations, 144. And remember, once upon a time, corporations were only temporary. And it was understood that they needed to be temporary because if they were permanent, they'd be too powerful. They would they'd take society down a dangerous path. It was the Supreme Court that said, oh, actually, you know, we're in a free nation. Corporations have the freedom to be people and exist for as long as they want. But oh, no, you couldn't dare smoke any marijuana. You don't have that freedom. Wouldn't want you thinking about anything. Anyway, now look, now they're legalizing weed now that everybody's got the Monsanto weed and the Monsanto vape pens and everything. But anyway, the corporation 144, United States of America. Was it always a perfect plan? You know, again, the United States of America was named on September 9th, 9/9. Here, just in case you're new here, these are things you really should know. Let me, I know all these dates off the top of my head. Maybe you don't, so I better show you this. Date Bavarian Illuminati was established. May 1st, 1776, Adam Weishaupt. Okay, Bavaria, Germany, like the last caller was saying, you know, Project Paperclip, bringing over all the German scientists after World War II. Oh, we temporarily froze. I guess we're still good. I hate how much this camera freezes. But from the date the Bavarian Illuminati was established, May 1st, 1776, which was a Masonic order, and George Washington wrote the letter and said, have we been infiltrated by the Illuminati? I wonder about that letter. Was that just like, you know, to make us think that they're not all in it together? Because I really do believe they are. Scottish Rite, Illuminati, Jesuits. Anyway, from that day to the day the United States of America was named, date United States of America named. It was September 9th, 1776. What's that? Where's it at? I know it was September 9th. It used to just pull up. They're making it harder to get information. Maybe it's because I typed it wrong. It was September 9th. On this day, September 9th, so it was on this day, September 9th, 1776, the United States of America officially named. Check this out. From May 1st, 1776 to September 9th, 1776, Bavarian Illuminati, date the country was named. That was 131 days later, which is the 32nd prime. As we talked about earlier, America equals 32, so does Scottish. If you count the full span of days, it's 132 days. You know how there's 132 rooms in the White House? Look at United States of America when you flip the alphabetic order around. 132. Again, when you put a the in front of it, 99, like September 9th. And again, with regards to the 131 days, if you don't count the span, 131 is the 32nd prime. America is 32. So again, all the numbers are important. 50 states and 1 million colonies, established on a date with 32 numerology, 7/4/1776. Freemasonry, 139. Scottish, 49. All the ciphers matter. But you just got to say, what are the odds? Notice that's also 4 months and 9 days. Another tribute to America. Been Illuminati from the beginning. And by the way, Adam Weishaupt, that's who established the Bavarian Illuminati on May 1st, 5-1. Adam Weishaupt, 51. Conspiracy 51. You know, think about Area 51. They say they filmed the moon landing at Area 51. We could go on all day, Truth Seeker, but we won't. We've done enough. Hey, Mark Passio, if you're out there and you don't like me using your show name, apologies. I just, personally, I was planning on working on my book and listening to your show in the background today like I've been doing on Sundays. And I saw you were sick, so I said, man, we need some sort of episode of what in the world is happening. And decided to take a little break from the writing. So we'll leave it there. Hope you guys enjoyed the presentation. And I'll be back at some point in the near future. Until next time, Truth Seeker.